Hello, and thank you for joining us for Dino Talk. I'm your host, Bobby Dino, and today we're going to be talking about the homies, the people that you meet in prison, the kind of friendships that you make, okay? Now, keep in mind, you go to a place like prison, and everyone that's there is there for doing something wrong. These aren't like good people that you're going to meet in church or at a library. These are people that are criminals and people that got to where they were by breaking the rules, by breaking the law, by doing some type of felonious, grievous crime that put them there, okay? Now, the thing is, you're still doing time with these people. You're still around them 24/7. You still hear their talking, you meet them, maybe you speak with them yourself, and eventually a certain type of friendship forms, okay? And while the majority of them are con men, dummies, repeat offenders, whatever, you find some people every once in a while that they stand out as being cool. You know, like maybe they just messed up. Maybe they just did something out of anger or out of whatever passion that wound them there. But other than that, they were kind of a cool person. You know, they were smart. They had enough sense to be conversational. And conversation is really what you look for when you're in a place like prison. Good conversation really makes the time go by a lot more smoothly and a lot more pleasantly, okay? Like if somebody's funny, they got good stories, they're more easy to become friends with. There are people that are more easy to talk with and more easy to spend some time with. Now, keep in mind, you always got to remember that they're criminals, okay? You're in a place that's for no good people. But since you're there 24/7, these things kind of start to happen. Now, I met a few different characters while I was in, a few different types of just either cool or crazy individuals. And I guess I could share a few of those with you. There was this one dude, and I've actually written about him, Old Man Tommy. He was a hitman for the Mexican mafia. Dude had confirmed kills on the outside. He got busted, came in. This is like during the 70s, right? Now, back then, you'd get busted for a murder. And if you did your time right, if you had good time, whichever, you could get out. You can get out within like 10 years or something like that, right? And so he did. But this fool went back to killing and got busted killing again. They brought him back in the 80s. Then he killed people while he was in prison. You know, so old man Tommy, he was something of a menace, especially when he was younger. Now, as he became older, he mellowed out a little bit and decided that he didn't want all that. However, he still had that heart. You know, he still had that instinct to where if you pissed him off too bad or if he had to get down, he'd handle business. Like that type of thing, that doesn't go away no matter how old you are. It's a mindset. You know, I remember sometimes I'd be talking with Tommy, right? And, you know, me being a younger guy in his 20s and early 30s at the time, sometimes I'd like to push his buttons, you know, because Tommy wasn't big. Okay, he wasn't big. He was only like maybe 5'7", 5'8", right? If that. He's probably closer to 5'6". But he was really strong. He'd go out on the yard, do pull-ups, and work out all friggin' day long. So I used to push his buttons a little bit because I'm like, okay, I'm way bigger than Tommy, and if he comes at me, at least I'll have a chance, right? And it was funny because we get into these little arguments or whatever, and I'd see his eye like start to twitch, like over here, like I'd see his eyelid would just start bouncing around, right? And I'd know like, okay, Tommy's pissed. I better back off of him a little bit. But like I said, I wrote about this. This was actually in Chapel 2. I mean, I almost saw him kill somebody and had to stop him because I didn't want him to, you know, get in trouble and get sent to the hole and all that. So he was a dude that I'll always remember. I actually liked him. He gave me some good advice. The type of advice that, like, if he could go back and do it again, things he would and wouldn't do, you know. So I appreciated Tommy. There was another guy, similar kind of story. His name was Robert. He was this black dude, originally from the South, but he was involved in like the civil rights movement and stuff like that. And I don't know how exactly it happened, but he ended up killing somebody. And he did it in California because that's where he was doing his time. And me and Robert used to talk all the time, which is cool, because he really didn't like anyone. He was one of those dudes where like he really kept to himself, but you know, we're both named Robert, so we'd see each other and be like, "What's up, Bob?" "Oh, what's up, Bob?" You know, and we'd usually see each other in the bathroom, like when we were shaving or doing whatever. That's where we caught each other a lot. But, you know, sometimes we'd see each other on the yard, whichever. And Robert was real cool. He was one of those dudes that had like an anachronistic style of talking, to where like he used a lot of the old terms, but it just made everything he was saying like a little bit more groovy, like a little, a little bit more dope, you know? And bummer part about Robert was he ended up getting sick, ended up getting cancer, watched the dude wither away. And then one day he went out for medical and he never came back. He died. And that's kind of a bummer, because I considered that old man a friend. He was someone that I talked to, and someone that I valued his opinion. And when he passed, it's not like there was a moment of silence for him on the yard, you know, or like anybody gave a shit. It was just like life went on, you know. And to die in prison, that was something that always kind of like hit me with him, because it wasn't like he was involved in violence or something like that when he ended up dying. It was just, he was just there forever. And that was the last place he was ever going to see. And that was a bummer. That was a bummer. I had a bunkie from Orange County named Russ. And Russ was a cool dude. Okay, he was really clean cut. He's a good looking guy. He was the type of guy that should have never been in prison. He didn't live a criminalistic lifestyle. He had his own business, had his own everything. How he wound up there was his sister had a boyfriend, okay, and it turned out that the boyfriend was molesting the sister's kid, aka Ron's niece, or Russ's niece. So when Russ found out about it, he drove over to that dude's house, knocked on his door, pulled the dude out his front door, and proceeded to whip the dude's ass, like right there on his own front lawn. You can't do that as much as you might think it would be cool or right. There's still laws that, you know, say you can't assault people, whatever. So he ended up getting 5 years. There was a couple times in the joint when I looked out for him. I've had some size, you know, and since I was in there, and was somewhat of an intimidating figure in my own right. And he was my bunkie. You know, people would hit him up like, "Oh, pretty boy this or pretty boy that." And there was a couple times when I was in there to where I was like, "Hey, if you fuck with this dude, you're gonna have problems with me." I really liked him. He's a smart guy. And as a matter of fact, he got out a little bit before me, and we kept in touch. He got married. I went to his wedding. It was at this really nice spot right on the beach in Laguna Beach. And we still keep in touch from time to time. You know, he was a good dude. He was a good dude. You know, then there's Andy, okay? Andy was another friend. Probably, I think he's like 5 or 10 years older than I am, something like that. And he was a shot caller for one of the Mexican gangs while we were in there, right? He also sold dope and did other stuff. He was there for murder, okay? However, he really enjoyed talking with me. He was a smart guy. And I think that's one of the reasons why he had the position that he did, was because he was smart. However, he was just choosing to use his smarts for criminal activities versus, you know, living a decent life. We would talk, you know, he always had his hand in something, you know, like whether someone needed drugs or whether they needed, you know, a phone or whatever the hell they wanted, right? This dude could always hook it up. And he could get people whacked too. I mean, like I said, he was the head dude if he had a problem with somebody or whatever, he could just tell one of the youngsters, like, look, I want you to go handle this guy or whatnot, and that guy would get handled however it needed to be done. He liked talking to me, and I appreciated talking to him. And I think that in our own weird way, we kind of had a good influence on each other. There was a lot that he had to say that made me think about how I should live my own life. We'd work out together, and we'd hang out, we'd eat together, walk the yard together, whichever like that. And it was a trip because, I'm just talking like it's feeling like I'm being a friend with someone. And I would forget how dangerous the dude really was. I mean, he was there for murder. And he wasn't afraid to handle business. So you'd be walking around with the dude and it'd be like, oh yeah, this guy's a straight killer, that could snap his fingers and have stuff happen. Andy ended up getting out. He got out a couple years after me. We had exchanged numbers ahead of time before I got out, and we actually kept in touch. He's doing all right. He's not into any of the crime or any of the stuff. He's living an honest life, and he's just trying to make his way like everyone else. He had it a certain way while he was on the inside. Now real life's kind of smacked him in the face, and he's handling his business. He's doing what he needs to do. But look, ultimately it's this. The cool people that you're going to meet, the people that would be good friends on the outside as well as the inside, it's a very, very minute number. Okay, that's the type of thing to where you got to ask yourself, like, would I want this person living next door to me? Because the answer would probably be no. And that's what the type of mentality you have to ask when you're choosing who to be friends with, or you're choosing who to even give your time to. As always, I'm going to say this: the best thing is, don't go to prison. Stay out, live life right, and you won't have to worry about any of this stuff. Hey, make sure to check out some of my products in the bio too. I have The Outfit, which is a group that I run. I have Thinking Tough, which is a book I just released. Make sure to check some of that stuff out and support the cause. Thank you for joining. We'll have another one of these again soon. My name is Bobby Dino, and until next time, stay safe out there.